Welcome to the Cyberculture Cafe series by Cyber Talks, presented by eSentire. I'm Andy Lalaguna and I'm here with my friend and colleague, John Moretti. Together, we're excited to introduce you to some fascinating members of the eSentire family. In this series, you'll get to know their story, the challenges, their successes, how they got here, what motivates and drives them to deliver the best service experience in the industry. This is Cyberculture Cafe. Welcome to another episode of the Culture Cafe podcast, where John and Andy will introduce you to another fascinating member of the eSentire family. Welcome. Ciaran Luttrell, if you'd like to introduce yourself and give the audience a little bit of an insight into what your roles and responsibilities are here at eSentire.
Yeah, great stuff. Hi, Andy. Hi, John. Delighted to be here. So as Andy mentioned, my name is Ciaran Luttrell. My current role is I'm the VP of our Global Security Operations team. I've been with eSentire now for actually 10 years this year, celebrating my
10
10th anniversary.
years. Wait, hold on. 10 years?
10 years. I know.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's been a
Awesome.
ride, and we'll chat through that. So, yeah, my current role and responsibility really is I oversee our global SOC operations. So we've got two locations. One is here in Ireland, where I'm based, and the other is in our HQ in Ontario in Canada. And collectively, that encompasses our global SOC. It's a large group of over 100 people. It's really the engine room of eSentire. You know, we're core to delivering our MDR services to our 2,000 clients worldwide. So I'd have a strategic role in sort of continuous improvement initiatives, working cross-functionally with our product management team, with you fine folks in solutions architecture and so on. And then, you know, my leadership team would do the day-to-day operational stuff then of keeping the lights on, making sure that we're doing our customers, good service and providing continuous investigations and so on. We'll get into all that, I'm sure. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing 10 years. I mean, that's a long time, my friend. That's awesome.
I had a lot more hair when I started this, but
Yeah. I was a lot more darker too. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to use a little bit of Just for Men, so it gets a little darker. I don't want to be. My hair was like starting to get silver looking, and I'm thinking, holy cow. And my wife is younger than me, so I don't want to look super old because that drives me crazy. So people think, what are you? Is that your daughter? I'm like, listen, you don't want to fight, do you? So, and by the way, don't you love Andy's voice? It's like soothing, right? Mine is a little bit more. I don't know. Somebody asked me the other day in a call, said, well, listen, I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything, but you have an accent. You're from New York. I'm like, yeah, I'm on that side of the United States.
Yeah, he's got a soothing voice, all right, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to with this throat. So, Ciaran, tell us how you got here. What drew you to eSentire in the first place?
Yeah, good question. So I've been in tech for just over 20 years. Prior to eSentire, I was with a company called SolarWinds. They do IT management and monitoring software. So I was with them for about 8 years. They've got their international HQ here in Cork as well. And I was actually doing the same job you guys do. I was a pre-sales engineer over there. I was early in the door, employee 30 at the time, pre their first IPO, and I would have helped grow and then ultimately manage the EMEA pre-sales team. So we grew that. There was only 2 of us at the start. I think there was 15 of us by the time I left, and that was an adventure. And then I suppose after a while you think, okay, maybe it's time to look at doing something else. And I heard that this company, they weren't known as an MDR company back then because MDR wasn't a thing. There was a cybersecurity services company called eSentire from Canada. Were coming to Cork to set up an operation. So I was curious. I went and applied and interviewed for the role as a SOC manager at the time. And I was successful. I think what made me successful was that I had previous experience in growing a fresh team with a large, and developing company. So that was attractive. And I also had an interest in cybersecurity. It ticked a lot of the boxes, working with customers. Obviously, I'd done that in a pre-sales capacity. So it was a great opportunity for me to get my foot in the door as number one in here and, really steer the course of things in the intervening years. So that's how I ended up here. And yeah, it's been a ride.
So So let me ask you. So you're in charge of both global operations centers, both like you're running both of
Right.
those. You're in charge.
Yeah, that's right. So we very much talk about it as a global security operations center with core locations rather than two SOCs. But it probably wasn't always like that. When I first joined, my remit was Cork and getting it off the ground and growing it. So we hired an initial team of 9 people back in 2015, and we spent 6 weeks out in the HQ in Canada getting onboarded and trained and everything. And then we came back and kind of went live initially with an 8x5 operation here, kind of on weekdays. And then, obviously things expanded and my role evolved. And in the last few years, I've been involved more at a global level then, working across the entire SOC team across. So we have a 3-tiered structure here. So across all those 3 tiers, yeah.
So let me ask you, and it's not easy, your role, right? I mean, everybody, at least on the SA side, I know for sure, like you guys are the magic behind everything that we do, right? You and the true team and the platform, you guys make all that stuff work. We have the fun job of telling your story, right? We can't do what you do, right? Be a SOC analyst, watch, see those threats and how to, take action for customers without a tool, right? You can see stuff that the tool's not showing you. You can know and understand things that, we can't. So always there must be eyes on you guys all the time. It must be. Is it stressful truly to like manage the SOC, to run the SOC? Because everybody's like, listen, you can't screw up. You guys got to be on right every time.
Yeah, well, that's a fair question. And look, there's no point in saying it's not stressful, but look, I think every job that's meaningful has stress attached to it, so I wouldn't be putting myself on a pedestal there by any means. But I mean, realistically, it's the team we have that are doing that work. I mean, I'm not on the ground either in terms of doing these investigations. I'm there to ensure that the overall service is running well and continuously improve it. That's a big focus of mine. Is how do we continue to improve what we do? And we've done a massive amount of things in the time I've been here that would be examples of that. But you're right. Look, it is stressful. We are dealing with important work. We're mitigating threats. We're responding and detecting and responding in real time. And of course, look, mistakes do happen, and we have to work through them. Customers have almost crisis type situations that we have to work with them with. So yeah, it is stressful, but we've been doing it for a lot of years. I think we've become very, very good at it. We have a very seasoned team in the leadership group and cross functionally, with your organization and the other teams as well. So with experience, with mileage comes the ability to do this well, I think, and that's important. So.
But part of that is the motivation as well. So what motivates you, what drives you, and how do you share that out amongst the team? Because as you say, it's a community here that's delivering the service, and you're managing to motivate them across quite a large time difference, and get them to deliver what amounts to a very consistent experience, regardless of who picks the phone up.
Yeah, I think what motivates me is the continuous sort of change and improvements that we're constantly doing. It's never a dull week or month in here in eSentire, and the SOC is always something that we're working on to try and make things better. I'm also motivated by, and I always have been, by kind of growing a team. And we work with a lot of young people here who for whom it's their first job, coming out of college and so on, and seeing them progress through our career development program in the SOC and grow very, very strong at what they're doing in a short space of time. That's very motivating to me. So, when you're working in an environment like that and then working with really good people, I know it's easy to say that, and I'm sure a lot of companies do, but there is a really strong culture of support and encouragement and wellness at eSentire that, being honest with you, I haven't experienced before in other organizations. It genuinely is a nice place to work. You're working with like-minded people who just want to solve problems and improve things and deliver a really strong service to our customers.
And we're talking about SOC analysts here, right?
Yeah.
These are some of the folks, some of the SOC analysts I met. I mean, they're actually like something you see in a movie, right? Where you're like, these guys are so brilliant, but I don't know if they want to come out of the closet because they're like, you got to keep them down there. They can't function any other way. But I mean, not in a bad way. It's just that they're super, super smart. And I got to tell you, I sat with a few of them in Waterloo, and I was like, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I was like, wow, I have no clue. They were showing me things, and I was floored. I couldn't, like, how in the world are you finding that with that information that you're showing me on the screen? That's like impossible. It's garbly goop. It doesn't even make sense to me. And they were like, oh, here it is, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, gee, how, like that? It's
Yeah.
incredible.
And it evolves so fast as well. Like what they're doing now is light years away from what they were doing when I started, which was very much
Right,
network
right.
focused intrusion detection. The response capabilities were quite light. It was a lot of packet capture analysis. They've got 4 core services now across log, cloud, network, and endpoint is obviously the big one. So looking at all our EDR tooling, and you're right. Like what they do is very impressive.
Is
And
it
yeah.
is it harder? Is it harder with all the different services, or was it easier when it was just one, component that you had to look at, right?
It
Make
was,
some sense
it
out
was
of.
probably easier, all right. It was probably a bit more simplistic because we didn't have as much, I suppose, attack surface visibility. It was very much
Yeah,
network
right.
focused. So, we did all of our recruiting and training around network intrusion detection. So that's obviously had to evolve. But with that, like luckily, as we've matured, we've added people who support the analysts with that. So we've got a very well defined sort of onboarding and training program. We've got a learning and development group within the SOC who are content developers and training facilitators. We've got a huge QA group now who do auditing of everything that goes on to make sure that it's not just on one analyst who may make a mistake ultimately, and that's where the decision ultimately ends. Like there's loads of layers to it. So there's great support there for the team. But yeah, let me come back to your earlier point. It is a tough job for sure.
I,
You know.
and from what I understand too, and how we were shown things is like, I mean, you guys interact with so much data every single day. I mean, there's not like, I mean, we have an amazing platform. I get it. And there's some automation there as well, but you still look at everything. You still look at that data no matter what. You don't rely just on AI. You don't rely just on a platform to do it all for you. You still interact with everything,
Yeah.
which is, that's incredible. That's an incredible amount of data every day. I
It
mean,
is,
wow.
and I think that's some of the secret sauce as well. Is that our analysts, when they're up and running and they're trained, they get so used to what they're doing in terms of analyzing these vast amounts of telemetry and looking for the needle in a haystack. That's an invaluable skill that we have that we can offer to our clients through our services. That is just very difficult to replicate like something such as an internal SOC or a lot of customers we deal with have small security teams of 2 to 5 people and so on. It's just impossible to do that at scale. So that's a part of why we're so successful. I feel is because the analysts have exposure to so much, training and development as they learn their craft and perfect it. They've got support systems around them that they get very good very quickly at what they do. So to you and me, it definitely looks overwhelming to shadow them and see what they're doing. But in reality, for them, it's like a road sweeper sweeping the road. They just do it with their eyes closed almost.
Ciaran, do you feel that obviously part of that is the training and encouragement? Is there a degree of gamification in sort of driving the analyst to do better and be better, and obviously develop that expertise? Is there a little bit of competitiveness between the analysts to see if they can do something quicker than somebody else, and then coach them how they did that? How does that wrapper sit around it to make sure that that knowledge is shared and understood and
Yeah, no, there's a
benefited
variety
from?
of ways that we do that. I suppose our core program is called KCS, Knowledge Centric Services, which is a framework for sharing knowledge. So again, we've got informal things, but that's our real formal. It's essentially our KB system and how we keep that up to date. Because as you say, there's so much knowledge and things change quickly. There has to be proper processes in place to manage knowledge in a department such as ours. But then informally, we do things that more to the fun side of it, which you were alluding to, Andy, I think, in terms of gamification, which is we encourage all of our analysts at every level to help and contribute something in our weekly stand-ups. They might do what we call a 5 or 10 minute takeaway, which is where they go through something that they've seen, which maybe somebody else hasn't, and just kind of share that knowledge in a kind of almost like a demo. So that's one way we do it. We've also obviously we use Slack as our internal instant messaging communications tool. So there's loads of different workflows and channels in there that the analysts can use to share stuff. Even something as informal as a sock water cooler channel where people can share less serious stuff that might actually still be related to tech or to cyber, and then we do things like quarterly all hands. We're actually planning the next one at the moment. I'm hoping to go out to Waterloo for that and meet many of the team out there in person. So look, we do a variety of different things, and they're all important to make sure.
What's one of the craziest things that you have seen that you guys went through as a team? You're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. It's unique, or it's maybe a 0 day, something crazy, right? I mean, what's one of the one things you've seen? Something.
It's hard to name one thing because there's been a variety of stuff. Like we're dealing with what we call an IHP, or an incident handling process, probably twice a month, and that's where there's hands-on keyboard activity that we've detected and responded to, and it's beyond just a single host. So unfortunately, I could probably talk about some of those as one-offs many years ago, but they're unfortunately quite regular now. We see on average 2 a month. So I think when you're in this role 10 years, nothing kind of surprises you anymore, unfortunately. And a lot of the stuff is repeat stuff that comes through because unfortunately customers aren't able to have the level of maturity that they would like to be able to do things like proper patch management and updating critical vulnerabilities, and they're exploited. And we see them all the time. They come in through misconfigured remote monitoring and management tools, or MEM tools like your Screen Connects or Any Connects and all those tools. So like nothing kind of surprises us. I don't want to sound flippant about that, but I'll
I'm
have
sure.
to see if anything jumps.
Yeah,
This stuff has become sort of almost run of the mill for us over
right.
time.
You've probably
which is a
seen
bit sad
everything.
to say when I think
Yeah.
about it. But yeah. If I can think of another example, I'll come back to you, John.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot. That's for sure.
All right, so let's change tack a little bit then and come back to sort of the direction of what does the immediate future hold for you in the SOC? What are the sort of the immediate plans or directions that you're thinking about or even considering?
So I think there's a couple of things there. Obviously, we're hearing about Gen AI and LLM and AI all the time, and every vendor out there is claiming to use it in some shape or fashion in their services or their technology stack. And look, we're no different. We've been using the technology for a number of years, actually, in terms of our detections. But we're going to be increasing the usage of it within the Security Operations Center in a number of ways. So I alluded to a QA team there earlier on. And really, to do proper QA at scale using a technology such as AI is key. So we're actually about to release a QA co-pilot, it's called, directly into the platform before analysts send alerts out. The AI is going to analyze the alert and rate it or classify it between 1, 2, and 3, and it's going to warn the analyst before they send out an alert to say this one is low quality, and re-review it, kind of a thing. And that's just one example of how we're going to use that type of technology. So rather than, no, we'll still do human-led auditing as well, but we'll evolve that. So rather than doing auditing of something that's happened after the fact and looking for improvement opportunities and maybe sending supplemental information out to an existing alert, we're going to do all this beforehand. So that should improve the outcomes for clients. The whole objective is to provide them with meaningful, actionable, descriptive alerts that their teams can take and run with, and don't have to come back to us saying, well, what does that mean, or what more information do you have, or how did this happen? Like, we want to get the analysts, and we've been doing this for a number of years anyway, but the AI technology is going to help us with this additional sort of layer. And that's just one example of how we're going to use that technology. There's others as well. So that's a huge theme of what we're doing. And I suppose another couple of things that we're doing then, which I think are quite interesting, and you and I have talked about this many times and on your many visits to Cork, but using the platform outside of eSentire and having that as a sort of a licensed platform that other service providers and systems integrators can use in their jurisdictions to basically run a multi-tenanted SOC for their customers. So we're working on our first partner with that at the moment, which is really, really interesting. That's getting off the ground, and hopefully, that will lead to further opportunities for us to have a new sort of offering really, which is our platform as a service, because it's a very, very advanced platform now. What's gone into it over the time I've been here. So there are two things. There's loads of other bits and pieces, but they're maybe the two of the headlines, I would think. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. And it's funny. I know that we're launching our new CTAM program, but we've been doing it really for a long time. We just it was never really defined, but we were doing that within our platform. Our teams were always looking at that and advising our customers. Hey, here's your assets you got to manage. Right, here's the things we're looking at. So, how do you feel about the new program we're launching this year? Is it going to make your job easier? I mean, we're talking about enhancing our MDR service, and I think with the CTAM program, as I look through all these pieces, I do think it's going to help. I do think it's going to, make things a little bit easier for sure. I don't want to say easier by any means, but it's going to enhance it to help you guys out, right? And the other teams out. So I think that's important.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we're hearing this directly from customers. So in recent weeks in 2025, we've hosted two of our larger customers for day-long workshops here in Cork. And that's what we're hearing from them, is they want us to help them to continuously improve their maturity, beyond what we do in terms of detecting and responding. So that's always going to be core to what we do. But okay, don't just detect and respond. Advise, help us to improve what we do, how we do it. Challenge us. Like one of our customers said to me, I'd like your analyst to challenge my team on the responses that you get back from us. If we said, the example that this person used was, if you guys send us an alert for suspicious VPN, a user using a third-party VPN software, and you alert us to that, and you get a response back from us that says, that's expected. Challenge it. Ask, why is it expected that your user in a factory in Thailand is using NordVPN? Like, why would they have to do that? So that's the kind of stuff, and it's, I suppose, what we're kind of starting to talk about is next level MDR, which is the proactive stuff, where we've got so much data, we've got so much knowledge within our service delivery teams. Put that to use. And you mentioned a point which was good there earlier, John. Like, we've been doing a lot of this stuff for many years, but we just haven't sort of almost like exposed the customer to it. Like, we're doing all the stuff behind the scenes. Let's put it in the portal. Let's talk about it proactively, through the SOC, through the CRA team, through the CTAP initiative and everything. So that's definitely a big focus for us, and I'm genuinely very excited about that, because it's
it changes the game plan, doesn't it? Because we become more of a security partner rather than a service provider. And obviously, we're renowned for our service provision, and we've touched on the aspects of why that's the case. But this changes the game plan.
Yeah, I
significant.
I agree. I mean, listen, honestly, for Andy and I, we see things out there, and it's getting harder for us to say, here's how we do MDR. Here's how we're different, because everybody, like you said, is saying the same thing. This is why we're different, is the folks, the people that are making the difference, and the things that we're doing and improving things. And it's crazy in a way that we have never. I mean, like I said, we've been doing it for a long time. We have never said anything about it. We just do it, and everybody gets that benefit. Now let's bring it out to the table and say, here, this is what we're doing. Let's enhance it and make it even better, and show you guys. And I think I want to get your opinion on this now, that from what I understand, within the Insight platform portal that we have, that we're going to start showing, that's where the new SOC investigation platform is going to be, like the dashboard that we're using for demos. I mean, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? And what do you think about showing the customers a little bit more of visibility? I think that's important. People have been asking for that. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it has to happen. Firstly, and look, there is a little bit of trepidation about it in terms of what the analysts are doing at a micro level is now sort of exposed through a portal and so on. But customers are looking for this. Like, we're dealing now with a lot of second generation buyers, who are not new to MDR, and they've worked with other providers, or maybe they're coming back to us, or whatever it is. And they want to work with us through these investigations. They want to see, okay, what did your analysts do to come to this conclusion, and drill in with them. And so it becomes, to Andy's point, a bit more of a partnership. We're very much an extension of their SOC, which we always were, but a closer, more tightly integrated, I suppose, in that fashion. So I think it's brilliant. I think the more we can do in this, we've got great capacity to enhance our portal to be more open about how we do things, be more transparent, and engage with the customer more, give them a reason to go in there. Obviously, we're releasing a mobile app, for example, in the near future, which is how people want to consume things as well. So it'll just mean we're very much more interactive with our customers. And ultimately, I feel provide a more valuable service because they'll be able to see what goes on behind the scenes. Right now, if we haven't alerted you about something, you might think, oh, okay, I haven't heard from eSentire, wonder what they're doing. And likewise with any MDR provider, all you got to do is go into the portal and you can see the investigations that have happened, what they entailed, and there's information to be gleaned from that as well. So I think it's brilliant, and the better.
All right. So very flippant question then.
Here you go.
If a lot of that secret source is now becoming more exposed to the end customer, will your QA capabilities reach out to them too?
Yeah. I mean, we're already evolving our QA groups anyway in terms of how they operate. I mentioned some of the AI tooling and the QA co-pilots. We've actually been using that for a little while already, secondarily. So, but that's the challenge, Andy. Like we can't rest on our laurels the way we want.
No, 100%. No, I am being flippant, but obviously, that true partnership, that stronger connection with a partner, all hands on deck. That QA piece becomes critical. Is that exactly what you meant to say? Is that right? Did you get that right? Is that complete enough? Is that useful enough for whoever's going to action it onwards? That now extends out to the partner as well.
Yeah. I mean, our larger customers and more mature customers have been challenging us in those ways for many years. So, and it's good that they do because it helps us to improve the services that we're offering. And I'll give you another example of that, which is a little bit adjacent. But last year we introduced call recording. So, like we're a SOC, but we're a multi-tenanted customer-facing SOC, and one of the ways we interact with customers is by the phone. So they can call us anytime to discuss an alert or ask us anything. And one little gap, I suppose, that we had really was visibility around the call service. So we introduced recording and auditing of that last year. So myself and my leadership team can go in and we one of the QA team members does auditing of calls. We've got a kind of an auditing program that's quite well defined. And it's another way that we can help analysts just improve on how they do things. So, it's not technical skill set, it's more customer service type skill set. And we've had marked improvement since doing that, to be able to really focus on that area. We also revamped our customer service training and phone training, and criteria for when we actually put people on the phones and so on. So, you probably don't think of that when you think of SOC and you think of eSentire, but ultimately we are a customer service team as well.
Right. I mean, exactly. And that's what I was saying. Some of those SOC analysts, right? You're like, they're super smart, but they can't talk to people. They don't want to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
But now to bring them out of that shell, so to speak, and extend it, it's like if I was an IT admin at an organization and you were my SOC, I would feel like we are truly one team. Like I can call them anytime and say, hey, you know what? I saw you did this. What are my next steps? Just give me a little guidance here because upper management may be asking me. I got to bring something to them. Tell me, help me along. And it's incredible that we do that. And it's like I said, we've been doing that forever, and we've just never told
We have, and it's a key tenet of how we run the SOC actually, is that you can speak directly to the expert on the phone quickly. Because I know other service providers, like they'll have a tier one tech support team handle the calls or something, and it's more like a messaging service. Like we've never operated that way. So we want, we're using the term first touch resolution for our phone service. Ideally, a customer gets to speak to somebody right away. If they can't, we have an escalation path, but it's live. Like it's not here, we'll phone you back in an hour kind of a thing. It's just getting a hold of a second and we'll escalate it through to a senior person. But we're training our even tier one analysts who are taking phone support responsibilities to be able to handle things end to end. And we're measuring that.
That's
and
incredible.
again, it's not something we talk about, but it's something we've been
thing.
working on internally for, probably 9 months
Right.
now, in a big way.
Nobody does that.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Yeah, it is. And there's comfort there for customers that they can pick up the phone and talk to somebody about, hey, what's going on? What does this mean? Because ultimately we're sending stuff, and it does worry customers sometimes. They get something, it's like, oh,
sure,
red bar, escalated alert.
Right.
Yeah,
they're not SOC analysts. They have no idea what does that mean.
Right. So there's comfort there in being able to pick up the phone and just
right.
chat with somebody who sent the alert in the first place.
and you talk to somebody. You
Exactly.
actually talk to the person and say, here, this is what I did. Let me explain it, break it down a little bit. That's incredible. That's important,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
I don't think anybody does that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they, like you said, there's other people they talk to and they get the information, they relay it. Let me talk to the person that did the work for me. Just like in the Insight portal now, you can sit there and message the actual SOC analyst who took action on my alert. I mean, that's incredible too. Just that feature, people have asked for that, so we made that available. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I think the teams really do um, are truly set apart from any other organization I've ever seen. Even some of the partners I've talked to on the channel side, they're like, "You guys are doing things that nobody does," which is incredible. I mean, that's awesome. So I think it's important. I love it. Um, so, so for me, I just wanted to ask you. So, like, I know Andy mentioned, what are some of the things you're working on and doing and stuff. But for you personally, what do you, for you in your life, what makes you say, you know what, I want to get up today
Yeah.
and I'm ready to do this today. So what drives you to get up in the morning to do this? Because this is not, honestly, it's not the greatest fun job in the world. Like, oh, I'm gonna have a great day today. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows what you're going to step into? So, what gets you up?
I think it's a variety of different bits and pieces. There's not one thing. I think I do enjoy the challenge of continuously evolving what we're doing. I enjoy the customer focused angle of eSentire and service delivery. I love hosting SOC tours, and Andy and the team come over. I enjoy that piece. I like the variety. I like working with newer people who've come in and mentoring and developing people in their roles and in their careers. That gives me great solace in doing that. And we've a great team that have come through. And I can remember there's guys here that are team leads now that were interns only a few years ago. That is great to see. We do a lot of work in the community as well that I haven't touched on yet. And actually, the reason I mention it is because we're doing a press release this week actually about our bursary program in Ireland called the Sean Hennessy Bursary. So we work very heavily with a few different partners in the region here and in Waterloo, and I'm involved there as well. But I'll talk about the ones in Ireland. So we work with Cyber Ireland, who are the national cluster. We do things like careers talks. We work with Munster Technological University very heavily. We have a number of different streams there, but one of them is our intern program, another one is our bursary. So you'll see a press release this week. It's called the Sean Hennessy Bursary. It's our fourth year of doing it. And we're also 10, as I mentioned, 10 years this year. So we're kind of trying to find ways of kind of celebrating what we've been doing over the years. And to your point, like all the work we do, just talking about it and sharing it, So I've highlighted a few things that we've done over the years in our press release that's coming up this week for that. Not just the bursary, but we've actually run 25 people in Cork through intern programs in the last number of years. Many of them are obviously still with us, working in different roles, but some have moved on and are doing other things. But they're contributing to the skill shortage and the community in Ireland, which is very much a tech hub and a cyber hub here in Cork as well. So to come back to your original question, John, I think it's just a combination of just having challenging, interesting things to be doing, working with great people, working with customers. There's always something new coming. It's never dull,
Yeah,
If it were, maybe I wouldn't be here for the 10 years that I had been, but just, I'm taking a deep breath every so often and having a look back and going, geez, we've come a long way.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, yeah.
Does it make you nervous sometimes when you think about what threat actors are doing today with like AI and how they're enhancing all these, phishing as a service and ransomware as a service, all these different things? Now, does it make you nervous? Do you ever think like, oh my God, am I going to see something that I don't
No,
know?
I don't. I generally don't think like that. That's not to say I'm complacent or flippant about it or anything. But you hear different schools of thought around AI, and obviously it'll benefit the threat actors. But there's a school of thought that's saying it's going to be more useful on the defense side, actually, in terms of automation and outcomes and so on. So no, look, I try not to think to dwell on that kind of
Yeah,
stuff too much.
like the end of the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. There's,
right.
there's no point. We just do the best we can and ensure that that's what we're doing. If there's gaps there, we work quickly and efficiently to improve on them. That's the game, really. I talk in other podcasts and things about SOC and SOC leadership being a continuous journey. There's always you're never going to reach the destination. The SOC is never going to be perfect. Let's just face it. But we're striving for perfection and trying to get there bit by bit, whether it's introducing call recording, as I mentioned earlier on, or a new training program or a QA co-pilot technology. There's always something we're just continuously trying to get better at what we're doing. And that's that's what gets me up and gets me interested in coming in here every day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is that the advice you would give your younger self now, then, knowing what you know after 10 years of Cork, for example?
Yeah. The younger self, what would I say to him?
I mean, for people wanting to come into the industry, to want to come into the SOC style service, how should they prepare for that? Because obviously, you're coming, as John has said, you're coming into potentially a firestorm every single day. And it's a special sort of person that does that. There are people who run away and there are people who run towards when something goes off. Most of us are run towards, just because the nature of how we've conducted our careers. But obviously you said that the industry has changed significantly in the 10 years you've known it and in the 10 years that you've known this particular organization. So what would that advice be? What should somebody prepare for?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few kind of buzz phrases you could use for some of that, but they are quite accurate, I suppose. One of them is sort of dare to be uncomfortable. So, if you're always within your comfort zone, you're probably not challenging yourself, and learning and progressing and developing. We're very strong here on progressing people. We've got a very well defined career development program that takes analysts right from their first day in the door right up to being tier 3 analysts, really. And that's a journey, but we're very passionate about that. So daring to be uncomfortable basically means, take on the more challenging cases, learn from the investigations that you've done, push yourself. If you're offered to do something and it's maybe not within your comfort zone, even doing a podcast, say yes. Don't say no. Say yes. Push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone all the time. And that's one of my mantras. It's probably something I think that's helped me to kind of progress in my own career is, just by saying yes to things and doing things that are maybe slightly uncomfortable. I remember I was asked to go out and present at Black Hat in the Middle East one time at short notice. I could have said no, but no, I said, yeah, I'll do it. And let's give it a go, And I'm not a seasoned public speaker like you guys, but I gave it a go and it worked out all right, So people will then come to you with, oh, Ciaran is probably somebody you could go to for that because he's helped out with a variety of different things and see if he'll help with this. And then, you add a few more strings to your bow and you become a guy that people can pull into different things. So I think that's important. And I see that even with you alluded earlier on, John, to, some of the analysts, they appear maybe sometimes a bit introverted or quieter and so on. But you'd be surprised, actually. Like I was even surprised just last week, Andy, you and your team from the International Sales Organization were here on your SKO, and we did a bit of SOC shadowing for 3 of the newer team members. And we were a bit light on people on one of the days, and we paired one of your team up with an analyst that hasn't done this before. And honestly, we would have put in that category of he's probably a quieter guy. He was amazing at it. Like the person fed back to us, I learned so much from sitting with this guy. And there was another leader in the room. He's like, I was kind of surprised at how much and how well he interacted. Like, because we just wouldn't have pegged him for that, So yeah, I'm rambling now a little bit, but certainly that's one of my mantras. That the whole dare to be uncomfortable piece and saying yes. Certainly say yes more than you say no. Put it that way, anyway.
But this is, certainly, I haven't been exposed as much to the SOC teams in Waterloo as I have in Cork. Certainly the Cork team are very, very, very much community focused and very, very much connected. And that comes across. So whatever you're doing the right thing, because you can see that in the way that they behave. And as you said, you heard the reaction in the room. We heard the reaction when those guys came back into the room, having done the tour with them. They wouldn't shut up. They just wouldn't stop, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. It happened when we did it with the SAs previously. It's happened when we've done it with these guys. It happens when we do it when we bring customers round. This is what the service is. This is the experience.
Yeah. And that's what I meant when I said that, you said it way better than me. See, I just come out like on the New York side here and I say these silly things like, oh, they don't want to come out of the closet. I meant it like they're out of not in their comfort zone, right? That's how I meant it. So I hope that when they listen to this, they don't think that guy was an asshole and said this, but I want them to say, that's normally not their job. They're taking care of problems,
exactly.
right? They're doing these things. But
Yeah.
when I have to talk to somebody about it and explain it to them, can I do that?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I meant. Yeah.
No,
So
I knew what you meant. Sure, but we like Andy will have seen that we do that. We take that approach when we do SOC tours here. Rather than just meeting the leaders and so on, we'll generally get at least one analyst in the room with the customer to basically to run them through a sample investigation. But in doing so, kind of convey the passion that they have for what they're doing, because it's very evident very quickly is that they're into this stuff. That this is not just a job for them. They take great pride in how they do their work, and we want the customer to see that. And all the times that we've done that, and it's harder for the analysts. They're not pre-sales engineers and polished presenters and stuff, but that's almost okay. We want them to go in and just be natural. That's not my day. Presenting to you guys isn't my day job, but the investigation is my day job, and here's how I do it. And as well as that, just makes them feel involved rather than having a SOC tour downstairs that they're never involved with. We rotate it around. Nearly everybody in the room here has met a customer on a tour at some point. Some of them will be more nervous about it naturally, and some of them will more run away from it. But we support them and encourage them to do it. We would never force them, but just by seeing everybody else in the room do it over time, it just becomes part of the gig. And it's great because just sitting in the room as an analyst, then you get to hear what customers are asking about, what they're focusing on, what's important to them, and that feeds back into the work you're doing. Because you can get lost in the technical stuff, doing such and such an investigation. Ultimately, you're an extension of a customer's SOC here, and you're providing a service, and that just can't be lost on you as an analyst.
And that's sort of translating to a language for an audience who aren't perhaps as technically astute as the analyst, is a skill they have to develop anyway. As much as they may be uncomfortable about it, it helps them communicate the urgency of what's required to get done what they need to get done.
All right. Sounds like we're naturally coming towards the end of our chat.
I think we are. Any closing thoughts, Ciaran? Any things you'd like to mention? Obviously, you've got that big press announcement coming out next week.
Yeah. No, look, I'm in reflection mode of this 10-year thing. I'm genuinely proud of what we've done. With a team of over 50 people in Ireland, we've a great global organization. I've seen Andy, I keep referring to your international sales team, come from strength to strength, and it's very gratifying to work with the kind of customers we're working with now across critical infrastructure, manufacturing, obviously the old tried and tested sort of legal, healthcare, financial services customers as well that we've always been servicing, but our services have just expanded to a more global audience. The work you're doing, Andy and John, are obviously amazing at helping customers on those journeys. So no, look, I'm very proud of what we've done, and I'm very keen to keep continuing what we're doing. As I say, it's never boring. There's loads of exciting stuff coming, and bring it on.
Thank you, Ciaran. Thank you very much. It was great chat with you. Thank you.
Guys, really appreciate it. Nice to chat to you.
No, we're looking forward to it, Ciaran. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time today to talk to us.
Take it easy. Cheers.
Guys, Cyber Culture Cafe series is part of the Cyber Talks podcast presented by eSentire, authority in managed detection response. To learn how eSentire's next level MDR service can help you strengthen your security program and build cyber resilience, visit eSentire.com. Thank you very much for listening. Look out for the next episode and we'll speak to you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.